right, everybody, welcome to Obscuracast. This is our first official episode on Spotify. We've done it a couple times. We've never really uploaded an episode. So basically what this show is about, I have one of my best friends, if not my best friend, Dan O'Neill, on the show with us as well. So this show, exactly like the description says, is we come up with topics on the fly and basically just sort of see where the conversation takes us. It's usually going to be about an hour, I would say, right, Dan? About an hour and a half, hour or so.
Yeah, around that.
So what we sort of want to get into first, and we'll just sort of, drive right through the hot knife through butter type scenario, is we talk about a lot of different things on this show, and we will be talking about a lot of different things on the show. Like I said, we just sort of see where the conversation takes us. So there's been a lot of controversy of just pop culture in general over the last, I would say, 5 to 10 years where things have really shifted. Things have gotten a lot more risque, so to speak. And the reason I want to bring it up is I know you and I have a very big Jones for South Park. We're big South Park fans. We watch it religiously. We even watch it just as background noise sometimes and can literally quote it on point. So what I wanted to get into is I know there was a big not necessarily a big scandal, but a big to-do about South Park moving from HBO where it was, which it's still on HBO for the time being, but it's moving to Paramount. They basically transitioned all of the episodes, other than the banned ones, of course, over to Paramount. And the reason I wanted to talk about that was they just recently did an episode that was, controversial, sort of like a mediocre word for South Park, right? So like basically,
yeah,
they touch on everything. They even make jokes at themselves. So nobody is really off limits. So the first thing I wanted to get into, why do you think the Paramount thing was such a big issue? Like, do you think they were trying to get too much control from Trey and Matt? What do you think about that?
I think it was just big corporate doing big corporate things. They wanted more power, of course. Trey and Matt kind of flopped their what on the table and said no.
I mean, they got 2.5 billion over the next 4 or 5 seasons, something like that.
It's either 1.5 or 2.5, one of those.
I think I saw it as 2.5, but I'm not completely sure. I think that's what it was, but what do you think was the biggest stalemate? Do you think it was them basically saying, fuck you, this is our show, we've been doing it for over 20 years, you're not going to change it now just because we're coming to you? It's actually going to get worse.
According to LA Times, it was $1.5 billion streaming deal.
Okay, so I fluffed it $1 billion. My bad.
It's all good. Okay, you were off $1 billion.
I know, okay. Right? It's a small number. It's fine. But
hey, the Pentagon, they can lose a couple trillion, and it's fine.
Well, a couple trillion in the grand scheme of things, and what we owe to everybody else and our mother is a different topic.
Yeah.
But they did something really controversial. Like, they've gone after presidents before and stuff like that, but they went after Trump in this one. And I haven't seen the whole episode. I've seen like the important parts, but a lot of people, they're actually doubling down, I think, on either this past week or next week's episode and doing something even worse. Do you think that is sort of backlash towards Paramount, basically saying that you're not going to hold us from doing what we want to do and we're going to do it anyway?
I think it's just South Park doing South Park things. I mean, they've made fun of Trump since the 2016 election. Nothing new. And they're going to, they're boundary pushers. They're going to constantly push that edge, that's where they live. If the line is, here, they're going to easily go over the line because they've done it since the show started. And there's not, again, like you said before, they've made fun of themselves. They make fun of everybody. They didn't look with the Muhammad episodes. They don't care.
Which is also banned, by the way. That's one of the banned episodes when they did all the deities. That doesn't even exist anywhere anymore. Like, some of them you can still find on like South Park Studio and stuff like that online, but there's a couple episodes like Cartoon Wars where Cartman was trying to shut down Family Guy. I think Seth MacFarlane nixed that. I think I remember reading something about the fact that, because it's no secret that like shows like that and The Simpsons, they're all fighting for audience, right? So they're going to naturally butt heads, not like each other if one's making more money than the other. It's just the nature of the beast when you're successful. I mean, You want to be the
Mhm.
top dog. And I will tell you, I quote as much South Park as I do Family Guy.
Oh, 100%.
Um,
Seth MacFarlane even just gave like applauded Trey and those guys.
I mean, it's sort of like a gentleman's agreement, right? Like,
Hmm.
as long as you don't step on our toes, we won't step on yours. But they've also, Matt and Trey, like you said, are there's no fucks given with them. So apparently, basically, I don't even know. I don't think it's a Family Guy, and I don't watch as much Family Guy. I watch it a lot, but I don't watch as much Family Guy as I do South Park. I don't think Family Guy has ever taken a stab, like direct stab with like their characters or something like that in a Family Guy episode. I might be wrong because I haven't watched all of the recent Family Guy episodes. I usually watch through like 1 through 8 or 1 through 12, something like that, and then stop. It's kind of like The Office for me. Like I refuse to watch
Right.
The Office when it gets terrible.
Yeah, I get
Um,
that.
so like I guess what I'm sort of segueing into is that like there's also been a lot of talk about, there's all this stuff happening overseas, there's all this stuff happening around the world, and then we're focused on the Diddy situation. How do you feel about that being sort of like a deterrent from what's really going on? Like that kind of thing, as far as like not just that situation, but just stuff coming out of nowhere, quote unquote, to sort of deter us from what's really going on in the problems that are happening. Do you find any like solidarity? Do you find any like solidarity in that? Like, is that a thing?
Oh yeah, 100%. They absolutely do that. They do the, oh, pay attention over here, don't look over there.
It's like the
Look at this.
misdirection, like the magician thing,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, well, I mean, you can look at I mean, this is one that I just know off the top of my head, Columbine. You know, the day that Columbine happened,
There was the
at the
Kosovo thing,
time,
right?
Clinton unleashed the largest, like, I think, aerial attack, civilian aerial attack in the history of the country.
Yeah, it
Something
was
like
over.
that.
It was over Kosovo because remember you and I watched that Marilyn
Pulling for
Manson, but
Columbine.
the well, it
Yeah.
was the Marilyn Manson interview that Michael Moore did with him,
Hmm. Yeah.
where they were talking because he was, that whole thing centered around the fact that they listened to Marilyn Manson, so he became the bad guy, right?
Yeah.
They basically blamed him, South Park, violent television, that kind of stuff. But nobody, it felt like, at the time at least, looked internally and said maybe we should have helped these kids out.
Hmm. Well,
Like,
and like they found out later on, those kids didn't listen to Manson. Like all the stuff that, and this is just perfect, media, whether it's Fox or CNN or any of them, they're all assholes. They didn't do their research because these kids didn't listen to it. They didn't listen to Manson. They didn't listen to that music. None of it.
but I mean, I guess my point is that everybody suffers with stuff. Everybody sort of suffers with stuff that they don't want to talk about, right? You and I are
Yeah.
perfect examples of people that have dealt with mental illness and know how hard it is and difficult it is to sort of break down and actually let somebody into that world so they can actually help you.
Hmm.
Um, there were a lot of telltale signs with those kids that were, I don't want to say looked over, but basically like, oh, he's just throwing a temper tantrum. He's just acting weird today, that kind of stuff. When does that, I guess from an outside perspective, in your opinion, when does that turn into like an emergency situation where like we have to act on this?
Well, first off, you got to remember that was what, early to mid 90s.
Right.
You didn't talk about your feelings. I mean, if, you know, if, like you didn't tell people like, oh yeah, I'm in therapy. Like, how many people do you know right now that they're in therapy? I know a lot
Right.
that either are in therapy or have been in therapy. Dude, I don't even know if I could name one person when we were in high school or even 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Now, like, everybody's in therapy. I also think there's a little too much therapy going on. Like, for me, like, yes, I have a therapist. I don't constantly talk about my past and that stuff. I think that it's healthy to kind of like, you talk about it once, maybe twice, and you need to learn to move on and just deal with shit.
Yeah.
That's what I use my therapist for, is more so just like, okay, shit happened. How do I deal with it and just move on?
Yeah, you're more or
You
less
know?
talking about a lot of people use it as a crutch, and that's not to say it's wrong or right or anything like that. But I do feel you in the sense that it's gotten a lot more. What's the word I'm looking for? Extrapolated, maybe.
Victim,
Uh,
victim.
Well,
People love playing victim card.
it's become
Unbelievable
commonplace.
nowadays.
It's become commonplace only for the fact of what you're talking about. Is things have felt like they've gotten a lot more sensitive.
Hmm.
Things tend to bother people nowadays a lot more than it used to. We used seem to like it. We had a more, I don't know, I guess thick skin. Um,
Yeah,
not
we're
that,
softer. We're way
yeah,
softer.
yeah. But that also comes with how you're brought up too. I feel like, because if you're allowed certain things like we both grew up in pretty good households. We had parents that had problems just like anybody else. We had problems ourselves. But we were also disciplined in a way and provided for in a way that we sort of had to earn what we got. Um
Yeah.
I mean, we got gifts and stuff. Parents did things for us that were a little out of pocket, sure. But the vast majority of my childhood, at least for me, because Danny and I have only known each other for 20 years, but it feels like so much longer than that. It feels like we actually grew up together because we essentially did.
Oh yeah.
We met in high school when we were both juniors, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're juniors.
So 2000, what's that? 2008, 2009.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Um
2008.
and we just come from a time because I'm 34, about to be 35. Dan's 35, about to be 36. So we've sort of been around. We're adults in the sense of the word, as far as like we have our own houses, we take care of our own shit, we have full-time jobs. But I even talk. My dad says all the time, just getting back to the softness type of thing, is that he'll have kids that nowadays will come into a job, whether it's an internship, full-time, part-time, whatever, and they don't understand the simplest stuff. They don't get the fact that if you're late, and I'm not talking about 1 or 2 minutes, I'm talking about like half hour, 45-hour late, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is a stipulation within the company my dad works for that you will be on time. No matter what it is, whether you're an intern, regardless, it doesn't matter. If you violate that, you are fired on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
And he has kids that will come into his office and say, "Why was I fired?" Well, you made an agreement that you would be on time. You broke that agreement, so now you're fired. Does that answer your question? Mm-hmm. Like, and it just, he'll sit there with them for like 10 minutes being like, "What don't you understand?" It's not a negotiation. It's not you got like 3 shots at it, dude, and you fucked them all. Like, there's nothing else to say.
Mm-hmm.
And kids don't get that. They just don't it doesn't compute with them. Certain kids, yep. Certain kids it does, or certain, young adults it computes with. But vast majority of today's society, especially young kids and young adults, they want and are preconditioned, I feel like, to just do whatever the fuck they want and there's no consequence. Or if there is a consequence, it's a slap on the wrist. Don't do it again. That doesn't deter you from doing something. There has to be punishment involved. Not punishment, that's a harsh word. Consequences.
Yeah, you got to be held accountable for your actions. But the problem is if you look at, for the last decade, over a decade, kids have been getting away with more and more shit. There was no accountability. I'm going to be honest with you. Most places, I've worked in how many different sectors I've worked in? I've worked in a lot of sectors. What they almost all have in common now is they are all hiring athletes, like college and professional athletes. You know why?
Because they have the work ethic.
They have the work ethic. they're held accountable for their actions. They don't expect to just be given a bunch of stuff. Like they can take constructive criticism if you know, say they need to do better in this area. They don't take offense to it. They're like, okay, cool, I'll do better next time. Thank you for letting me know. Not, how dare you call me out? Like, you know, it's like to be in a sales call with 200 something people and like, yeah, like we're falling short here. You guys got to do better. Okay, yeah, we probably do.
Yeah, it's
Like,
not only accountability, it's like a humility type of thing. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like it comes down to the fact that I fucked up. I did something I wasn't supposed to do or didn't do it to the best of my ability, which should be at least how we grew up. That was always the target, right? I don't care if you fuck it up, but if you didn't even try, what's the point?
mm-hmm.
We have there's no problem in screwing shit up. That's how you learn.
Well, yeah. I mean, look at any, you know, there's a saying, winning cures everything, which, you know, like it does. Winning definitely cures a lot of problems. But winning can also hide a lot of issues.
Yeah, I mean, you know how, and that sort of segues into like what I saw something, and you know, I'm big in the Call of Duty scene. So if anybody doesn't know, I also stream and I game and like post content and stuff like that. I was watching. There was a perfect example of what you're talking about with relation to Call of Duty, and it was the thing when I told you where I was watching champs with Optic and all that kind of stuff. They had they had a shit season. They were 0 and 18. They basically didn't do anything for the first half of the season. They ended up winning not only Call of Duty champs, but they also won EWC. So they basically went back to back and then won champs back to back for the first time in the history of the CDL. So to boil it down, athletes, whether they're esports athletes, football players, basketball players, whatever, that's the type of competitive mindset that you have to put forth if you want to be successful, especially nowadays, because things are becoming so much more trade oriented. I feel like where a degree isn't meaning as much. Like, for example, the reason I say that is because I went to school for communications. I was a communication major, I actually graduated early. I graduated like 6 months in advance. I was a communication major. I wanted to do broadcasting. I'm an IT tech. Like, I went the complete other way. And also, I was an anomaly in colleges. I didn't switch my major for 5 years because I was also a basketball player and then I played overseas for 3 years. But I found, like, I didn't want to do communication. I didn't want to do broadcasting. It obviously reared its head another, what, year and a half down the road when I started doing YouTube and streaming and all that kind of stuff. But it wasn't something I was interested in because I can sort of do the streaming stuff and technology stuff in tandem because I understand both sides of it. You get what I'm saying? So I had the communication aspect where I know how to sort of handle myself when the mic is live or when the stream is live and that kind of stuff. But if you look at my old stuff, like when I first started, it's a lot more, I guess, unfiltered where I would like rage and like turn the stream off and like leave and like all that kind of stuff. I don't do that stuff anymore, but that also comes with maturity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as you mature, you become more in tune with how you interact with the world and haptics and kinetics and all that kind of stuff. But you don't take it as hard, I guess, is my point. Like, you have a way to cope with the fact that something either went really well or it went really bad because you've got to stay somewhere in the middle. You can't get too high and too low. So I guess my point is that if you're going to do something and it's not working out, but you did your best, there's no shame in saying, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, 100%. You know, you also kind of look at it and like, at least you gained experience in whatever you did and you learned something. Even if you fail miserably, you know what doesn't work now.
Yeah, like it's all a learning experience. Like
Yeah,
the
that's all
technology
life is.
stuff, I didn't know a lot about it when I first started, but I was also interested in it, so I wanted to dive deeper into it. Same thing with streaming or making content. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed learning about it. I enjoyed learning how different stuff works and how I can make certain stuff happen, or going off on topics and stuff like that I'm interested in, like the Call of Duty stuff or video games, because that's essentially what my channel centers around is YouTube and making content about video games and stuff like that. And we talk about a lot of that stuff just amongst the two of us as well as our entire friend group. But
Yeah.
I guess my point is that if you're going to do something, you need to do it to the best of your ability. And if you fuck it up, you fucked it up. You learn something, move on, figure something else out, keep it moving.
Yeah, just own it and move on.
But that's where a lot of kids, I feel like, they get hung up on the fact that they failed, and then it just ruins their entire life from there on out.
Well, I feel like there's that, but then there's also the group that is so afraid to fail that they just kind of like stay stuck.
Yeah, they do like the mediocre bullshit.
Oh yeah, like they're just like, you know what? I'm gonna stay in my comfortable bubble. This is what I know. I could go make more money. Yeah, I could go do something different. I don't want to be pushed outside of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah. And, me giving, because I obviously don't play professional basketball anymore. And that's another good point on that topic alone, is that, like, I had played basketball since I was 5. I basically walked around with a basketball in my hand. If I wasn't playing basketball, I was thinking about it. I was doing workouts. I was lifting. I was, whatever. And a lot of that weared on me to the fact that I wasn't really doing it because I liked it. I was doing it because I was good at it. And I kind of took it lazily for the most part. I mean, a lot of my basketball career, especially leading up to college, was like, I was good at it. I didn't really have to try that hard, but when I did try, like, it was weird. It was kind of a weird experience, because I was never a bad student. I was never really a terrible kid. I didn't get into a lot of trouble. I got into trouble like any other kid does, but I also was I was in that realm that you're talking about the bubble thing, where I don't really want to do this anymore, but I don't know how to attack it to the fact where I can get out of it. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A lot of that had to do with my own insecurities of, I was a very shy kid growing up. I'm still shy to a certain degree, but not even close to where I was when I was growing up. Cause I would avoid going places because I'm tall. I'm 7'3". There's a reason why I, did as well as I did in basketball, because I got everybody by about a foot. Until I got to college as well as pro, but I was also in that realm of like, this is comfortable. Nobody's bothering me about it. Everybody's happy. So I'm just going to keep it moving. But as I matured and realized that it became work and something that was sort of tearing me apart without me even knowing about it, I changed gears and figured something else out that I was interested in. It's worked out really well for me. Like it's about taking it. It's about risking it. It's about taking a chance and doing something that you're interested in, even if it's against the grain or you fail at it a couple times, because you're not going to fail at it all the time, right?
Right.
You're going to eventually figure it out, because as human beings, we adapt, right? We don't. Most people, us as a species is adaptable. We adapt. We figure shit out. That's why we've lasted as long as we have. Through natural disasters and ice ages and earthquakes and, whatever. But I feel like that's slowly but surely diminishing. That's just my personal feel. Like, we're getting to the point where like everything affects us, whereas 20, 30, 50 years ago, nothing did.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay. Technology hasn't exactly helped us become. I don't think it's helped us become better.
I think it's actually exacerbated the ability to be social, like social interaction between two human beings. I feel like it's very, very diminished since technology came around.
Oh yeah, especially since COVID.
there's so many people that I've come in contact with just going through school and my daily life that just don't know how to communicate.
I mean, dude,
it really bothers them to the point where like the anxiety thing takes in, right? Because I've suffered with anxiety, so have you. But it's almost like crippling with some people, and that in itself is a little scary.
Well, you look at like the COVID years, okay? Just that, like, what, year and a half to 2 years where kids were forced to be in school, well, or not be in school, they were at home
Through like Zoom and shit like that.
Distancing. Yeah. Like the young kids, even like John, one of our friends, he was a principal, he noticed that like the kids in high school, when they came back, they were, juniors and seniors. They still acted like eighth graders or freshmen, mature wise. And for the young kids, you're 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like those years are so important socially for them in school. They learn all their social skills, their motor skills, all that stuff. To like you were saying before, like the human species, we are naturally problem solvers, right? But our species relies hugely on social interaction. We've been social since the beginning of time. Right? And to have people closed off and away from everybody and don't go outside and don't go do this, like you put a bunch of fear in people. And, I don't know if we do it now, maybe a different episode, go into the whole, what we found out later was BS about a lot of the shit that happened. There was more, let's just put it this way. There's more negative consequences that happened because of the social distancing and everything that Fauci did in the CDC and trying to force people to get vaccines. There was more mental health shit that happened that people turned to alcohol, drugs, and suicide than any of the COVID.
You're talking about like the actual
feeling the effects of that.
Talking about like the actual like death rate and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it was a fucking joke.
Yeah,
an absolute joke.
Well, then they also had then they also had the thing where like it was the vaccine wasn't FDA approved and people were just getting it because they were scared and that whole controversy and that whole like conspiracy theory thing that it was chipped and like if you got every round of the vaccine you were going to die in 3 years and all that kind of stuff. Like there was a lot of misinformation, I feel, with that whole ordeal. People were scared, people were worried that they didn't know what it was or where it came from or anything like that. They had mixed signals, they had misinformation, all that kind of stuff. And when most people, when they enter that, if you don't have a way to cope with that feeling of anxiety and doubt and all that kind of stuff, you implode. Right?
Well, I think it was also like people being forced to get the vaccine or they were going to lose their jobs.
Yeah, that was actually a wild thing.
That's fucked. And here's the crazy thing is all the quote unquote conspiracy theorists, we were right on like 90% of the shit. And there are people like, have you seen the increase in fucking heart attacks in young people since the fucking vaccines came out?
No, I haven't.
We can look that up. It is fucking skyrocketed. Healthy people, healthy young kids too.
So COVID was 21 to what, 23-ish?
20 to like 22.
All right, let me look it up. Let me just see. But yeah, I can't imagine that not just the isolation and stuff attributed to everything. I bet it was a lot of, not only the vaccine, but the actual disease or epidemic in general. You said it was heart attacks?
Yes.
Okay.
heart attacks and like cardiovascular shit.
2020 to 2020. So let's see. So, according to Google, according to Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC.gov, heart attack statistics from 2020 to 2023 indicate a rise in at-home heart attacks and cardiac deaths since the COVID-19 pandemic. Though some overall heart attack statistics show a decline in frequency, coronary artery disease, the most common type of heart disease, caused 371,506 deaths in 2022. In the U.S., someone has a heart attack every 40 seconds, and about 805,000 people experience a heart attack annually. Approximately 1 in 5 heart attacks are silent, and meaning the individual is unaware of the damage. So essentially, not only did it go up, but you didn't even know it was happening to you.
Yep. Yep. And you still can't. They're trying to put it in motion now where these Johnson & Johnson, all these big pharma companies are going to be held liable. Like you're going to be able to sue them if something happens to you from getting a vaccine. And recently, they have finally released information that was withheld from these studies that they did, I believe at Stanford and I think Wisconsin and a couple other universities. The correlation between vaccines and autism. There's actually a direct correlation, and they've known it for a long time, and they've been hiding it.
Yeah, that was the whole thing with the vaccines can cause like behavioral disabilities and stuff like that. I remember that being a thing too.
It's because of how much like there's fucking insane amount of aluminum in some of these things.
Interesting. They're injecting people with metallic material. It's kind of wild.
Mm-hmm. Well, there was I forget her name. I'm gonna have to find it here in a second. But this lady that Rogan had on, she has dedicated her whole life to studying like smallpox and stuff like that. And when she was young, she was like reading up on it, and I'm probably giving a really shitty overview of this interview. We'll get her name, and then we'll put the link to that in there so people can listen to it if they want to. She found out that the smallpox vaccine that we all got didn't actually stop us from getting smallpox. What they did is they just changed the name. So they don't diagnose people with smallpox anymore. It's MS and other shit.
Wow. That's kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's dark. Dark shit. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild. Well, speaking of dark shit, we had another topic that we wanted to get into. We're talking about cover-ups and conspiracy theories and things that are deterring people away from what's really going on and that kind of stuff. So you alluded to, I don't know, do you want to say the group name on the podcast, or do you want to sort of keep it anonymous?
Yeah, no, we can. Dad was a member of it for a while, and then once him and I got talking and like watching shit on TV. MUFON, Mutual UFO Network, I belong to that now. They got some really good research papers and stories.
But the one you alluded to, I thought was really interesting. It was the one that took place. I think you said it was Aurora, Texas, right?
Yeah, it's the Aurora, Texas crash of 1897.
I was going to say, you know a little bit more about it. I sort of glanced at it before we started the podcast just to sort of brush up on it and talk about it. But you want to give a little synopsis in case people don't know what it's about or like what it entailed or that kind of stuff?
Oh, yeah, sure. So basically what happened with that crash is it happened some 6 or 7 years before the Wright brothers' first flight. There were numerous sightings of a cigar-shaped airship reported across the United States, but specifically there was in over 30 counties in like a 1-month span of this airship. Okay, and then one of the accounts, it appeared in the April 19th, 1897 edition of the Dallas Morning News. It was written by Aurora resident S.E. Hayden. The alleged UFO is said to have hit a windmill on the property of Judge J.S. Proctor 2 days earlier at around 6 a.m. local time, resulting in its crash. The pilot, who was reported to be not of this world and a Martian, according to a reported Army officer from nearby Fort Worth, did not survive the crash and was buried with Christian rites at the nearby Aurora Cemetery. The cemetery contains a Texas Historical Commission marker mentioning the incident. Reportedly, wreckage from the crash site was dumped into a nearby well located under the damaged windmill, while some ended up with the alien in the grave. Adding to the mystery was the story of Mr. Brawley Oates, who purchased Judge Proctor's property around 1945. Don't forget, that's right around Roswell. Okay. Oates cleaned out the debris from the well in order to use it as a water source, but later developed an extremely severe case of arthritis, which he claimed to be the result of contaminated water from the wreckage dumped into the well. As a result, Oates sealed up the well with a concrete slab and placed an outbuilding atop the slab. According to writing on the slab, this was done in 1957. So that's the overview of that.
So essentially it was, everybody, there's a lot of UFO sightings that people don't know about just because they're not mainstream media, right? Roswell, I think everybody knows that was the Roswell, New Mexico thing, the Area 51, that whole bit. This is interesting because it's not something that was captured necessarily by mainstream media. It was captured by newspaper, obviously, but when I say mainstream media, I'm talking about this whole social media thing, the national news, all that kind of stuff. It was national news, but it wasn't extrapolated like we have it now, right? It was more of like something that happened to exacerbate itself into national media after it became a thing, right? It wasn't something that flipped onto social media immediately or something like that.
Well, yeah, and you got to remember this is 1897.
Well, that's what I'm saying is that like
we can't even fly yet.
We
got hot air balloons. That's it, really.
In today's media, I guess, because we're gonna get in. There was a hoax and a couple things that we want to talk about involving. We'll get there in a second, but it seems like this would be more believable than something that would happen today with a UFO sighting, just because everything with AI, everything can be fabricated, everything can be blown out of proportion, right?
Oh yeah, yep.
I believe that the stuff that happened previously versus stuff that happens today is a little bit more found in truth, just because of the fact that it can't be faked as much.
When's your cutoff? 90s, mid 2000s, 2010.
I would say
is like the 2016 Tic Tac even though that 2016 when they released the Tic Tac video, that was actually from like the mid 2000s.
Yeah. Well, I guess what I'm saying, I guess my point being is that like firsthand accounts versus somebody that filmed something is a little more believable in my personal opinion, especially if they have facts that line up. Anybody can say that they were abducted. Anybody can say that they saw a UFO, right? But if they have an alibi, like, I don't sort of know. I'm sort of like generalizing it, but like at the same time, it wasn't as fad as it is now. Does that make sense? It's not like, oh, I saw a UFO and now it makes me cool, or like I know something that somebody else doesn't know, or something like that. A lot of firsthand accounts, especially stuff that lines up, is a lot more believable in my personal opinion than versus somebody filming something or them catching something on a camera or something like, you know what I mean? Like a firsthand account, somebody that was like actually like affected by it versus just taking a picture or something like that. That's a little bit more believable because it changes you. Something like that, something that big and that like life changing, especially if it lines up and makes sense. That's a lot more believable than something you would see today. Don't you agree?
Yeah. Yeah, I did. Well, and I also think that, for how long these like military pilots and airline pilots, they weren't allowed to say anything or they were going to get like blackballed and banned.
Or killed.
Like the military, you or kill. Oh, well, yeah, there's always that fun one. How many people have been killed because of this stuff? That's dark.
Yep.
Then then you get into another fun one is the Men in Black. That is a real thing,
Yeah.
and that's not just with UFOs. That's like the Mothman, uh, paranormal
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, like when that first story first started happening, when there was multiple sightings in I think it was like the 50s or 60s and 70s.
Well, it's still
Like,
going on. I forget where it takes place, but I remember
yeah,
Gina, my girlfriend, and I were watching a documentary
West
about.
Virginia.
Yeah, we were
Yeah.
watching a documentary about it, and it's still going on today. It's like the ability to like the whole extrapolation from the Mothman, like the whole allure of the Mothman is, from what I understand, if we're talking about the same thing, which I think we are, is like
Mhm.
he'll lure somebody out, and it was like I think it's a train track or something that's not finished or was broken down or something like that. This is the documentary we saw. And it was
Okay.
talking about the fact that he'll like people, this train track has become like it's an elevated train track. It's probably a good 100, 150, 200 feet in the air, right? And
Mhm.
people will go out on this unfinished track because it's a myth and they want to like experience the paranormal activity. And people have literally like, it's documented like over the course of however many years that people either just fucking disappear from the train track, like they just evaporate into thin air, or they jump or like lose their footing and like fall off and die.
Okay.
So like
But
the mythical thing is cool, but like you also that people extrapolate a lot of stuff into legends because they can't explain it, right?
uh-huh.
Like
Oh yeah.
they take a figure in history and extrapolate it to a horror figure. You know what I'm saying? Like, because that's a lot of what, like, I know I'm a big horror buff. You're not hugely into them, but you will watch them even though you have like a blanket over your head when you watch them. Um,
hmm
but like a lot of horror movies take from real life experiences or real life scenarios.
I think
They just
my big
extrapolate it to the
reason,
point where it's like over the top. Go ahead.
yeah, I think one of my big reasons why I'm not huge into horror movies is because of like how fucking haunted our house was.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
I
like no, I lived
100%.
through it. I'm good.
Yeah, I completely get that. But a lot of
I'm
people
good.
go for that stuff because they can't explain it or they don't know, like they've never seen it before. Because it's the same thing. Like if it's kind of a stretch, but not really. It's entertainment still. If you were to go back into like the Roman Colosseum and that kind of stuff, people went to that shit to see people die because it was exciting and they'd never seen it.
Well, first off, times were way different. You
But
want to talk about people
well, that's why I said it's
fucking
a bit.
having thick skin?
That's why I said it was a bit of a stretch. But it's
Yeah.
essentially it's the entertainment aspect of something that you don't see all the time.
hmm
It's kind of taboo. Not everybody
hmm
likes it, and that kind of thing. That's the allure of entertainment, is that a lot of people's like taste, especially horror movies. Like take Terrifier for example. Terrifier is not really scary. It's just really nasty and gross and like over the top and disgusting and that kind of stuff. But people get a
hmm
Jones out of that kind of stuff. It's the same thing as watching
Yeah,
like
they do. Yeah.
the autopsy of Jane Doe, like you and I watched. Remember that one that was like a mystical witch or
Yeah.
whatever?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Spoiler alert. Um, but like people don't see that all the time, and they like to be scared. They like to test the boundaries and that kind of thing. That's the same thing with like the whole adaptive human being thing that we were talking about earlier. Is that like in a way it gives you a thicker skin?
Yeah. Well, you want to hear something really interesting that you brought up about the Colosseum? So, did you know that there weren't actually a lot of deaths that happened in the Colosseum from fighting? That was kind of like not a myth, but like a
Yeah, it's an extrapolation.
misperceived because the movie Gladiator like made that famous, more famous than it was, of like the, thumbs down thing, dramatic thumbs down thing, and like everybody died in battle in there. That actually wasn't the case. More people died like a week or two after their fights because of injuries.
Yeah,
It was
they
kind of like
they didn't
one,
treat
it's like,
an amputated whatever or a deep cut
yeah,
or something like that. Yeah.
yeah. I think it was like 1 in 4 or 1 in 5, which don't get me wrong, is still a lot, but um,
For that
1 in
time
4 or
period,
one
that's
in
actually
five
kind of
died.
impressive.
It is. Well, because it was more like it was entertainment, and they're like they were gambling, so you could place bets, right?
Right.
And then also what they did is they did the naval battles in there, so they do like naval reenactment battles.
Yeah.
They would also bring in exotic animals
Like
like
tigers and
lions,
lions. And yeah.
zebras, yeah, like shit from Asia that
And a
people,
lot of it not
you know what
also
I
was
mean?
naval battles, but like they would do recreations of battles from ancient Roman history and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I mean, it was
It was a spectacle.
yeah.
It was a show.
100%. 100%. It was amazing.
Yeah.
But their government, which a lot of people love to shit on history, if you study history and you learn it, even what is going on today happened 2,000 years ago in Rome. They distracted people. They would throw festivals. They would throw these entertainment festivals at the Colosseum to distract the Roman citizens of what was actually fucking going on around the world. And like the collapse of Rome, like we can actually study that, and there's a lot of correlations between the collapse of Rome, the collapse of Greece, and all that shit with like you look at it today and it's like, oh, it took hundreds, if not like 1,000 years for it to happen in Rome and Greece. It's happening in like 80 years here.
Well, yeah, it's all about
Wild.
like it's all about the whole like telltale saying of like shit repeats itself. History is doomed to repeat itself if you don't fix it.
100%. Yeah.
So like if you keep making
Yeah.
the same mistake, it's like the definition of insanity. It's like you keep doing the same thing expecting a different result.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Oh, yeah.
not only insanity, but it's just downright stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the whole
It's,
thing we're circling back, coming full circle basically, is that like it it's I don't even know how to put it. Like it's one of those things that if you don't make a change, it's always going to be the same thing over and 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 over again. Like
mm-hmm.
you have to switch it up. If you don't switch it up, there's no telling what could happen. It could be bad, it could be good, it could be indifferent. But like it's like things like the computer or like God, Jesus, there's even the fucking like printing press back in like the old days. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
all that stuff, or like gravity, for example. If the shit would have never fallen on Newton's head, he would have never figured it out. You know what I mean? Like right place, right time kind of shit. You know what I mean? Like that's a real thing. Like I tell people all the time, and it took me a long time to figure it out. I actually learned it while I was in therapy. It was like the different laws of the universe and how you're not necessarily in control of everything, but you can make a lot of shit happen if you just put forth the effort.
Yeah. You put forth the effort and you know, I don't believe in like Harry Potter magic, but I do believe in energy. I believe that like positive energy is a thing,
Well, that's
and
like
you
the whole
can
thing.
attract
Like there's a lot. I kind of want to look it up. Give me a second. I want to look at I think there's 5 or 6 laws of the universe that have actually been
mm-hmm.
proven to work.
Mm-hmm.
Let me look.
Yeah, like there's a thing like energy is a thing.
So
There's an
like
interesting correlation between energy and water, actually.
so like there's a law of so these are the metaphysical laws. This is sort of what I was talking about. Now there's physical
Mm-hmm.
laws, scientific laws that have been like actually proven with numbers and research and stuff like that. But then there's stuff that just happens that people don't have an explanation to point it to. Like you can point it at God, you can put it at energy, you can put it at whatever, right? So those are like the scientific laws, but then the metaphysical laws are sort of like those out of body experience type things where stuff just happens and you don't really have an explanation for it. That's physical.
Okay.
So there's a law of divine oneness. Everything is interconnected and part of a larger whole. So like that, dumbing it down, is basically you don't just go through life willy-nilly there's things that happen to you and things that happen around you that are part of a plan. Like it's all part of like a, I guess if you want to call it like a path, you know, there's a beginning, there's an end, but there are stuff that's calculated within the law that happened to you because it's supposed to. Like it's not just a freak occurrence or a happen of circumstance or something like that. It was literally bound to happen, whether you wanted it to or not. Now, you could take that and extrapolate to the point where like, okay, I got up today, right? Or it would be like meeting the love of your life, or getting the best job you've ever had, and everything sort of snaps into place. That's sort of basically dumbing it down. It's like stuff that's supposed to happen to you because it's bound to happen. There's the law of vibration. Go ahead.
Is destiny a thing?
I believe it is, yes.
Okay.
There have been things that have happened in my life that have set me up for success down the road, and I didn't even realize it.
Mm-hmm.
Basketball was really tough for me, but it taught me a huge lesson about giving it up and being okay with giving it up, and thinking, you know, finally realizing that I wanted something better for myself.
Yeah.
That's just like one small example. There's a law of vibration, which everything in the universe is in constant motion and vibrates at a certain frequency. So
Mm-hmm.
essentially it's the same thing as everything being interconnected. If you think about it that way, everything's on the same even keel, even though it doesn't seem like it. Law of attraction, which is the one that I was talking about, is a similar energies attract, and our thoughts and intentions can influence our reality. Manifestation, basically. There's a law of correspondence, as above, so below, as within, so without. Which that's an interesting one, considering that like there's always a yin to a yang, I guess, if you want to put it that way. There's a God and a devil, there's good and bad, there's right and wrong. You know what I mean? It's all about balance. Law of cause and effect, every action has a reaction or consequence. We know that with pretty much anything that we do, even physically. If you throw a ball, it's going to come back to you. Law of compensation, we receive back what we put into the world. I believe that's a real thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. 100%.
You don't do shit's not going to happen for you. If you put forth the effort, you'll get a piece, you'll get a percentage of what you're after. It might not be 100%, might not be 1%, it might be somewhere in the middle, but you're still going to get something out of it. Law of perpetual transmutation of energy. Energy is constantly changing and transforming. We see that all the time too. Perfect example of that would be how we went from candles to every building in the history of humanity has lights or electricity, give or take some countries and some places around the world. But we went from candles to flipping a switch to turn on a light. Law of relativity, everything is relative, it has a context. I believe that's true. Law of polarity, everything has an opposite or duality. Good, bad, right, and wrong. Law of rhythm, everything in the universe has natural cycle or rhythm. So essentially, everything comes back around. So it's a full circle type of thing. Which both of us have experienced that in our lifetime. At least I have.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
It's the whole thing about like it all, like you do something bad, it's going to come back to you, even though it doesn't, it waits 20, 30 years.
Oh yeah.
In some form or fashion, it's going to bite you in the ass.
Or the opposite.
Yeah, exactly. Law of inspired action. This is interesting. We are guided by intuition and should take action based on that guidance. So essentially going with your gut feeling.
Now, I've heard a really interesting theory on that one, is that your intuition has something to do with either like It's either like your ancestry, like previous people in your bloodline,
Or
you're
drawing
actually
on
like,
like then you get just to extrapolate that a little bit. It's sort of like the Buddhist reincarnation thing,
mm-hmm, kind of like that. Yeah.
where like you've experienced this, but it's like deja vu, right? We don't have an explanation for deja vu. It's just something that happens, right?
You know what happens to me a lot? It happened a lot when I was younger, and then every once in a while it happened to me, is I will have a fucking dream. Okay? I'll have a dream. And it doesn't even have to be something crazy. It could be like just like I'm in the dream and I'm in the kitchen and like I do something and I turn around and like I see my daughter or she says something or like hanging out with like a group of friends or even like something at work. Anyway, have a dream, dream happens. Not necessarily that day, but like within a couple of days of that dream, the same exact thing that happened in my dream happens in real life. Have you had that happen?
To a certain degree. To a certain degree. It's
I've
never
had
been.
that happen a lot.
It's never been. Well, I've had it happen. I'm not saying it's not like a sparing thing. I have had it happen. But it never sort like dreams are sort of like they say dreams are sort of a gateway into your third eye and like the ability to deal with issues that you can't deal with in your present sense. So essentially, when you're conscious and awake and that kind of stuff,
Hmm.
it's a lot of your subconscious basically trying to show you something.
Hmm.
Again, it's good, bad, and different. Makes sense, doesn't make sense, whatever. But it's your subconscious trying to. It's that law of inspired action, right?
Hmm.
It's basically it's something in the universe or whatever you want to put that to. Insert word here. Something's trying to tell you something about what you're doing, whether it's good or bad. Like if you're really like, and it also has a lot to do with your conscious self too. So like if you go to bed, for example, with something on your mind, 9 times out of 10, it's going to manifest in your dreams in some form or fashion. I've noticed that a lot
Hmm.
with my dreams. Um, the really wild thing about dreaming is the lucid stuff, where you're able to actually know that you're dreaming, which I've also had that happen to me as well.
See, I
Uh,
haven't had that one. Haven't
the
had that one.
the lucid dreaming is sort of like a how can I explain it? It's it's a dream, but you're still within the dream, interacting as if it was a dream. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's the fucking Leonardo DiCaprio movie.
Yeah, like you have control, but it's to an extent. Like
Yeah.
stuff still happens in the dream, but you're aware that it's happening and that okay, I can wake myself up. Okay, I'm up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
Really.
it's the opposite of like when you have a really really bad like a really good dream or you're really in deep sleep, you wake up and you're like holy shit, where the fuck, oh, I'm here. Okay.
Yeah.
Um but yeah, I mean dreams are dreams are kind of an anomaly because they can go really good, they can go bad, they can go, you know, they can help you figure stuff out, they can be really enlightening, they can be really detrimental. Um but that all has to do with your mental, like how you are when you're not conscious, when you're just sort of in REM state and that kind of stuff. Like, because there are people that have dreamt stuff and their mind is more active while they're dreaming than they are when they're awake. So that's an interesting thing just for the sheer fact, like, they say we only use 10% or 15 or 10% of our brain, right?
Hmm.
The people that have been able to extrapolate more than that or come to terms with more than that, vast majority of what I've heard from personal experience is that like they're in a REM state or they're meditating or they're, do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like they're
Yeah.
not here, but they're here type shit.
Hmm.
And that's what's really
Well,
cool
that's
because I know you've gotten into some type of meditation. So have I. Like, I will tell you that just sitting down listening to like meditation music and just closing your eyes and just sort of being in the moment, it's one of the most rewarding things you could do.
yeah, it absolutely is. I just have a hard time. shutting my fucking brain off. Like I just can't not have some type of thoughts going through my head. So that's like my therapist was like, "Hey, instead of focusing on not think of anything, which is really hard to do, and most people really can't do it, like focus on just the moment and the presence of being there,
Yeah,
and
it's like the
like
whole grounding
focus,
aspect, like
yeah,
putting your
focus on
feet
being calm."
putting your feet in the grass and feeling the actual grass and making it at your feet, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because like I said, it's like it's the law of the divine oneness thing, right? It's the ability to realize that you are part of something bigger, and that's okay, and it's scary, but you got to keep the shit in perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like people get so, there are some people that are so anxiety driven that they're literally thinking about 50 moves ahead when they should be worried about what's happening right now.
Yeah, it's definitely me.
And you know, I have people in my life that, not only you, but there's also people in my life, you just think way too far ahead, dude. But I had to go through a lot of therapy to figure that shit out, because I was guilty of it too.
Mm-hmm. I honestly didn't start getting panic attacks or anxiety attacks. Didn't really think too much about the future until I became a father.
I was gonna say, without
That's honestly what triggered it.
going into all of it, you've had a hell of a year, and we won't go into what's happened. It's not important. It's water under the
I
bridge at
mean,
this point,
it's been a hell of 3 years
right?
with different incidents, not just one. There's not just one specific. Like it was you know, actually, if you really want to go into it, 5 years, because we can count COVID with it.
Right.
COVID kind of started the shit show of the fuckery. So you got to think a half a decade of one negative thing after another. Like, I kind of live in that fight or flight mode. I'm trying to get out of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's the whole thing. Like, you can go in, and that's the whole therapy thing, is that like you can go into it and you can come out the other side, but there's also people that it doesn't work for. But I will say, from personal experience, I didn't put a lot of stake in therapy. I didn't put a lot of stake in looking internally and knowing that I was part of the problem and I was the best person to fix it and that kind of stuff, because people, you know, we talked about it before at the start of the show. People don't like to take accountability.
Mm-hmm.
It's become a very commonplace thing for people to sort of blame whatever.
Yeah, I also don't think there's just one way. Everybody's different. I don't think what works for you isn't going to work for me. I
Yeah.
think, there's different types of like therapy, I guess. There's the traditional talk to a therapist thing. There's the medication thing, which I'm really kind of against that, depending on the medication. I don't think SSRIs are good. There's way more negative shit that comes from it. They don't fix anything. They turn you into a zombie. That's not right. I think there's more natural shit that you could do. Um, they're making a huge breakthrough with microdose psilocybin with PTSD victims and veterans
Well, that's the
and
whole
all
thing
sorts of
with
shit.
it's the whole thing with the weed whole thing, right? Is that it's somebody's prerogative to get the help that they need.
Mm-hmm.
You can call it a drug, you can call it medication, you can call it whatever the hell you want. But what it boils down to is that I live by, and you know this because I've told you before, and I live by these three principles. If it's not hurting you or it's not detrimental to your well-being, if you are not hurting somebody else, or you're not making waves to the point where it becomes an issue for outside people to, I don't want to say take offense. I guess what I would say is that like it comes back to the sort of, you're not hurting anybody else but yourself. It's your life.
Mm-hmm.
But those, like it, that's what sort of everything that I deal with in my life, that's what it boils down to, is those three things, because
Mm-hmm.
they cover all the bases. If you're not hurting yourself, you're not detrimental to the world in a negative way, and you're not hurting anyone, do your thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like it comes to a respectful thing that this person's life, they will never be able to do this again. You get one shot at it that we know of for certain. You get one shot. Live it the way you want to. Just don't. Just live within yourself.
Well, and like for like to get back to like the whole like different types of therapy thing, like instead of these and it's most of it's a money game, right?
Right.
Like JFK proved that they're putting shit in our food that is fucked with us and our health, purposefully doing it to make people sick. So that way they have to go to the doctor and the doctor prescribes them a bunch of other shit. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So that way it's just more money in their pocket. Instead of like, hey, what's your diet? What's your exercise like? Do you sit on your fat ass all day and just eat shit and drink bullshit? Or do you actually get some form of exercise and eat healthy? Like, are you doing that? You'll probably feel better if you do that.
Yeah.
Get some sunlight. Get outside. Don't just be inside all day long.
Yeah, or I mean, I'm guilty of it too because I do sit at a desk all day and I stream and stuff like that. I'm guilty of the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We become
That's why I love my job because, yeah, I work from home, but I also get to go out.
Yeah.
Nice.
We become so sedentary.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And it's because
I could literally watch if I wanted to. I could for a whole month watch nothing but Netflix. Never have to get off my couch unless I wanted to go take a shit. And if I didn't want to get off my couch,
I was about to say, even then, you could just take a shit on the couch.
Listen, if I wanted to, okay, I could be a real piece of shit and hire someone to clean my ass as I lay on the couch and watch Netflix for a month. I could order food and not get off my couch. Like, we have become completely worthless if we want it to be.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is crazy.
Yeah, and there's actually, like, we are talking about this right now, and there is somebody somewhere that is literally what they do.
That's all they do.
Because they're so unhealthy, they're so overweight that they're on disability because they can't hold a job, and then they got someone from the state coming in to take care of them, and that's what they do. That is a real thing.
And sometimes it's by fault of their very own. Like, it has nothing to do with anything else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, I'm sorry. You can say whatever you want. A person who weighs 1,000 pounds, that's not normal. That's not okay. I don't care if you're big boned. There isn't a fucking human bone in the world that big.
It's true.
Ever.
It's true. It's true. Yeah, it's completely our lifestyle is completely changed, and it's almost certainly for the worse. Like,
mm-hmm.
Everybody talks about, like, this is the thing, and we're very lucky to live in a country that, we're able to do some stuff that a lot of people don't get to do, right? But we also have a lot of really big weaknesses as far as, like, the amount of stuff that we're able to consume that's just not good for us.
That's done by design, though.
Right. No, I completely agree with you, but I'm saying that, like, I eat my share of fat. I eat my share of food that's not good for me. Like, I eat out at restaurants and I order DoorDash and that kind of stuff, but I don't do it to the extent where, like
moderation.
Right. Like, I go to the store, like, and I've gotten so much better about it in the last month where, like, I'll go shopping for food and make it myself because it's just, not only is it better for me, but it gives me something to do. I'm learning something. I'm learning how to do something. I'm learning a new skill on how to cook a piece of meat or whatever. Like, you're not just making food for yourself. You're doing so much more than that. And that's getting really deep on just cooking a meal, but like a lot of people like cooking is therapeutic for them. Like that's their therapy.
That's my therapy.
But like
I love cooking.
it's like playing video games. It's like playing video games or streaming or playing sports or going out for the fucking debate team. If it works for you, do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'll tell you what's been really good therapy for me is going camping.
Well, yeah, I mean, that turned into a fucking shit show last time we tried to do it, but I'm still up to try to do it again.
I mean, I'm talking about just like when even just I've gone.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Like, it's like just been really good therapy for me. Just grab my dog and her and I go.
It's the whole interconnection thing, dude. Like you're out there where we started.
Mm-hmm.
And it awakes something in you that's primal. And, you know, I mean, people say we're human beings, but we're animals.
We are animals.
We're animals.
People get pissed when you say that.
But we're animals.
I've had some people get real pissed at me for saying it. Well,
yeah.
I'm not an animal. You are.
Like, we hunt. We do everything that animals do.
Mm-hmm.
We're just a little bit more sophisticated, whatever that means.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, we've come up with things that there's a reason why we're at the top of the food chain. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Like the idea of a human being, if you really get down to it, is kind of it's not only fascinating, it's kind of mind-blowing. Because there's so many things in the world that outweigh us as far as animals are concerned, or beasts, or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And we're the top of that chain. Like
there is a time period, if you study like the evolution of humans, there's a time period, I think it was something like 8,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago, where like something happened where our brains grew like rapidly fast in a very short amount of time. We covered like 2,000 to 3,000 years in like a very short time period. Now, there's some people that go with the ancient astronaut theory and think that like either the Anunnaki or the reptilians, you know, aliens were like some type of hybrid, that they were some scientific experiment or some shit like that. There's that theory, but then there's also the theory that because I believe every continent, if it's not every continent, it's close to every continent, has some form of psilocybin mushroom on it. There's a theory that we actually, our ancestors, tens of thousands of years ago, hundreds of thousands of years ago, started eating psilocybin mushrooms and actually were able to get smarter that way. Interesting theory.
Yeah,
it's a theory
for sure.
I think that one I could get behind with more than the ancient astronaut theory. Even though that one's interesting, and I've done a lot of, I love that shit, right? Mm-hmm. Done a lot of research on that. I don't know. I feel like the mushroom one is more. I can buy into that one a little bit more than the other one, even though the other one's fun. It's a really fun one to look into.
Yeah, it just blows me away that people take so much stuff for granted. Like the fact and I think I alluded this to you, and we'll wrap up here because we're coming about an hour and 15 or so. Just the evolution of where we were when there's documented history of where we were as a race to where we are now, it's insane.
Yeah, and we're learning more and more.
Well, that's the thing, is that as we've grown as a species, we're extrapolating that knowledge into the fucking stratosphere.
Mm-hmm.
We're taking stuff that we learned a year ago and timesing it by like 1 million.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane. And like the stuff that really blows mine, and I think that's probably a thing that we should end on, is that like it comes back to the same thing of like the divine oneness or the metaphysical laws, is that like we have to keep striving, we have to keep getting better, because if we don't, you're stagnant.
Mm-hmm.
And there's going to be a collapse at some point in time, whether it's a catastrophic event, a nuclear war, whatever. We're only going to be around for however long we're around. And the interesting thing about that is, and the one that makes sort of, keeps in the back of my head sometimes, is that like, when is it going to happen?
Yeah.
And that's
we're a blip in time.
Yeah, I mean,
Look at Mars. Look at Mars. Mars was essentially what Earth is now. At one point, that red planet looked like Earth.
And as over time, it's become something completely different. It's adapted. Interesting stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
But yeah, since we're coming up on an hour and a half, I think that's probably a good place to stop. But the Obscure Cast going forward, what you said, we're going to do about every 2 weeks or so for a little bit, see how we do.
Probably, yeah.
So we'll figure out a more finite schedule where maybe we can do it every week, or, God forbid we get the time or have the ability to, maybe like a Monday, Friday or something like that, depending on what we do. But we're going to talk about a lot of stuff on this show that is controversial. But we're always, the two of us, we're very level-headed. We have things that we believe in. We have stuff that the other one doesn't necessarily agree with or has a different opinion about, or what have you. But one thing I will say, and Dan, if you feel this way, please back me up. If you don't, please say something, that we'll never come on this show and not talk about stuff that matters, but we'll also be sensitive to the fact that everybody has their own life. Everybody has things that they believe in. Everybody has things that are important to them. And we will never step on the toes of that, but we will talk about stuff from both sides of things. And make sure that we're being unbiased to whatever topic we can, as much as we can, because it's not about finding out who's right. I think it's about talking about the conversation. And then once the conversation gets to a certain point, you either disband and that person or that conversation is no longer part of your life, or it makes you stronger and pushes you forward. So that's sort of how I feel about the whole show. I don't know if Dan has any parting words before we end up, but
yeah, no, like, you can respectfully disagree, and you can, just because we don't agree on something doesn't mean we can't talk about it and try to, like, all right, well, let me hear a different side of it, or a different, like, explain it better or something.
It might change your perspective, but that could be good, bad. You never know until you press the issue, right?
I'm pretty open-minded.
Yeah, that's why I think you and I get along so well too, is that like we have the ability to just be like it and that's the other thing, is people get so hung up on the words. We're able to, not only because we've known each other for so long, because we're like-minded and we've had a lot of experiences we've been a part of a lot of experiences with each other, and have been there for each other in a lot of situations that people don't necessarily want to be a part of. And we're young, we're only in our mid-30s, like we don't pretend to know everything, but that's also part of the fun, is having a conversation with somebody older or more in tune with what you're talking about, because it might give you a different perspective. It might be good, it might be bad, it could be something you disagree with, agree with, whatever. You're learning something.
Yeah, and it's okay to have tough conversations too. There's nothing wrong with that. I think we've gotten away from that because everybody is so afraid to offend each other, and it's like, hey, you can have a difficult conversation. You don't have to get offended by everything. Like, it's okay if somebody thinks differently than you. It's okay. It's all right. And I'm sure there's going to be people that are going to hear shit that I say and they're like, you are a fucking psychopath. And you know what? That's okay. You're allowed to think that.
No, there's going to be no holds barred on the show, but we're also going to respect the fact that people have all the stuff we talked, all the stuff we talked about.
Yep. And we might have some guest appearances on here too.
Yeah, I mean, we have some people that are interested in doing it or have expressed interest in doing it in the past. Because, like I said, this is our first show that we're ever going to upload. But we have done stuff in the past where we've tried to get people on and talk about certain stuff, or, you know, we have people in our lives that will offer a different perspective, and it'll create an interesting dialogue, I think. And it's not people that, just because they're friends, we're not going to disagree and have a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So whether we agree, good, bad, indifferent, that's what the show is about. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you guys want to follow, we're going to try, like I said, try to do this about every 2 weeks for the little bit of time that we have. After that, we'll figure it out. But this will be uploaded as soon as we can get it on the Spotify channel. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, we'll be back for another episode probably in about 2 weeks. It might not be on a Monday. It might be on like a Friday night or a Saturday or something. At least that's when we'll record it. But we'll have it uploaded as soon as we're done, probably the next day. So thank you guys for listening. If you did, hope you guys enjoyed the show, and we will catch you guys on the next episode. Take care, guys.
See ya.